Good morning all, and welcome to Safari Joe's Adventures. Today's the 28th of February. I can't believe that our weather's like this. It's supposed to be in the high 50s, low 60s today. The ground is thawed out, and usually this is our snowy part of the year. This morning we're having some concrete work done. We are building a 24 by 24 two-car garage in the back corner of our property. 13 years ago when we bought this abandoned house, the first thing we built was this garage workshop. And since then, well, it's morphed into more of a workshop and storage room for things that I'm collecting to take up to our cabin. Well, the new garage, it's going right in the same place where that old shed was that I tore down a few videos ago and repurposed the lumber. I hated to see that tree go, but it was in the way. But I do have quite a few tree seedlings that I will be transplanting into my yard. They're busting up that old slab and we're going to repurpose that later. Well, we're ready to pour the slab, and what do you know? Here comes the first truck. This is going to be a monolithic pour. It drops 18 inches below the bottom of the slab, and the slab itself will be 6 inches deep. The slab is reinforced with rebar. It has 4,000 psi concrete with strands of fiberglass throughout. When it's finished, it should be a pretty solid structure. The guy running the chute, he's one of my wife's clients. He's owned a concrete company for many years, and he gave us a price on this, and to be honest, it wasn't worth me having to do this myself with a couple of buddies. These guys are pretty quick. Truck number 1 is leaving, and truck number 2 is backed in and getting ready to dump. Back in the day, I was a supervisor for a pipeline company. We used to run all the underground to new commercial buildings and residential neighborhoods. Me and my crews, we did a lot of concrete work, but it was usually little stuff. Whenever we'd have to go out into a street to build a manhole and bring the sewer lines in, we would have to cut a piece of the sidewalk out and also saw cut the street to get out and build our manholes. And when we were finished, well, we had to repave the street and rebuild the sidewalk. So I've got lots of experience at it, but they were never this big. It was generally just a couple of slabs for a sidewalk and a small section of pavement. And what I did learn is I still don't mind doing the little things, but I'm going to leave this bigger stuff to these guys who do it every day. Well, that slab's looking pretty good, so it's time to start on the ramp and the walkway that leads up to the side entry door. Well, some of the neighborhood boys came over to eat a little bit and check out, see what's going on. The next morning they saw cut a couple of expansion joints in here, and we'll be putting the building on here in a couple of weeks. Well, good morning folks. We have a slab. This is the second day of March. We had this slab poured 3 days ago. This is the area where I had that old shed with that little concrete porch out in front of it. In doing this, we kind of created a little bit of a mess. They had to borrow some material out from this side, so I'll have to pick up a little mini skid steer and get the grade work done. I'll be doing that sometime real soon. But the concrete pad that used to be sitting in here and the tree that used to be there, well, here they are. We got the trees pulled out of the ground, and over there, we got that pile of broken concrete. Now, most people would have hauled that off to the landfill. I got a little bit different use for it. On the back of my property, you can see there's 2 fences. It's about 3 foot apart. And in between that, every time I come across rocks in the yard or some of the broken block that were here when I bought the place, I break them up into small pieces and I put them along the outside of this interior fence that I put up about 5 years ago. And the reason I'm doing that is to keep digging animals out. And there's some areas right along here where I have no blocks. Well, I believe I got enough broken concrete to fill in there all the way down. Now you can see things are just a little bit messy from the work, But I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning it up, getting that block and broken concrete in between those two fences. And once that's done, I'll cut this tree up into small pieces and probably burn it in a fire pit that used to be a fire pit, or a burn barrel, just to get rid of it. One of the cool things about living here at this place is the herd of elk up at Rocky Mountain National Park, about 25 miles to our west. They spend a lot of their winter months right here in the fields behind our house and even in our yard. So we get to see these guys all winter long, and they're generally here until May or June. Well, there wasn't enough block to do the whole thing, but what the heck, I got most of it done. Well, I've got all that concrete block put over in between the two fences, raked up the mess. So between the block and the double fences, I should be able to keep the deer, the elk, and the digging critters out of the yard. Next up, I'll get all this cut up, get it ready to burn. And who knows, I may even throw a couple of elk steaks on there and make it worth my while. Well, that tree that was in the way, I've got it all cut up into pieces, and it's sitting over here ready to burn. Today, there's virtually no wind, so I'm burning the slash pile and what's left of the tree. When it's cooled off, I'll go ahead and put it on the ground out here in the garden area. You know, I've run quite a few different pieces of equipment in my lifetime, but the only skid steers I've ever run were made by a company called Bobcat. And their bucket controls, your lift and your dump are all done by your feet, and you steer it with the steering handles. Well, this is different. Everything's done by your hands in this, so this is going to be a little different for me, so I've got a bit of a learning curve. But we're going to give it a shot. Don't criticize me too bad.
I don't think so.
Did anybody else see that? I brought that little skid steer down here and pushed that little bit of dirt right there across the front of the apron and backed it up, and the tracks turned into tires. Well, we all know that's not true. I took that other little skid steer off the trailer yesterday morning, made one pass with it, backed up, and it died. I had to call the Home Depot back up. They sent a tech out here, and come to find out, the last person to rent it filled it back up with gasoline instead of diesel. So they drug it off, and this morning I went and got another one. They had one with tires on it. That's fine. They were all apologetic, and they told me that, you know what, because of your inconvenience, we're going to let you have this one today for free. So thank you, Home Depot. Well guys, we got the 2 truckloads of recycled concrete down, got it leveled out with the little skid steer loader, and now we're going to put a little bit of water down, and then I can wheel roll it again. I do have a little bit of a low spot right there in front of the ramp, but I have a lot of extra material right along the fence here. Now I can take a couple of wheelbarrows full of that and put up against that ramp, and that should take care of the problem. We got a completed 2-car garage, and now Glenda will have a place to park her car out of the snow, the rain. Well guys, that's it. We finally got my wife's garage built. She's going to be a happy camper. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. If you have any questions about the build or anything going on, please leave it in the comment section. And when I see them, I'll answer them for you. Thanks for stopping by. As always, make your life an adventure, and God bless.